This is a mess. Look at this. My 6-meter posts are in the way, and I didn't spot that beforehand. I do not need that kind of drama first thing in the morning. All my fault. Didn't think every angle through. I gotta look up the commenter who told me about the Prusik knot. That saved my bacon today. Saved this load from crashing down. Thank you. Good timing. Our weather seems to be following the lunar calendar. The autumn equinox was yesterday, and right on schedule the weather turned. It was, for the month of September, on average 32 degrees every single day, and really high humidity, 90%, 80% plus anyway. And just ungodly weather to work in. And it turned yesterday. And so here we are. Amy told me that maybe I should still wear shorts today because midday it's still going to get hot. I think the high is 27 today. And I said, no way. I'm changing clothes. It's for the seasons. And right now I am sweating. Sorry. Horses sweat. Men perspire. Women glow. Today's task is to get all the remaining lumber from roadside up here to either the loading dock level or the working level where I'm standing. First task is getting the hinoki, the cypress 2x6s. These are my sills. They're the first thing that I'm going to work on and the first things that I'm going to install. So I want to get them up into the bird's nest working area here so that they're convenient. They're the first thing to grab. And then the remaining 6x6s down at roadside are all posts. Oh, come on. So, for those of you who have never lugged around monsters like this. Leverage is your friend. As you would expect in any kind of building operation, there's generally a lot of planning involved. I've been planning for 5 years, going on 5 years now. As many aspects of this as I can imagine, and I believe, and probably most of you believe, that it's absolutely critical to do a lot of planning. That being said, I am continually impressed and amazed by things that just happen and become so right. Just today, I've realized 3 things. The first one is the prusik knot, right? I had a almost an accident. I had the video recorder going. I shared that video, and one viewer gave me a hint about using this particular knot as a safety braking device on my mountain escalator winch rope. And just today, like 4 days later, it became a critical component for saving my ass. It wasn't planned at all. It just happened. The second thing is the bird's nest ramp or platform, the bird's nest platform. I mean, I never planned to do that. I didn't, 2 weeks ago, I didn't want to do it because it was so much trouble getting in there and cutting all the weeds and the saplings. I just didn't want to do it. And then in the space of an afternoon, I just did it without really very much thought. And it has become critical to this shifting of lumber from the loading dock deck to the working level deck, and it wasn't planned at all. And the third thing is this under the scaffolding working area. I never planned on pouring this pad and having this scaffolding extension off of the first floor. The only reason it happened is because when we were getting ready in the final stretch for pouring the first floor foundation, the slab, we had a delay. I delayed it 7 days and they delayed it another 4. So in this 11-day period, I suddenly had some slack, and I said, well, let's just have a flat area down there. Still without an end goal in mind, and we poured this slab. And then when I saw that we've got this great slab in front of the house, well, I need a deck extension. Let's put this up here. And suddenly now, without any real planning whatsoever, I've got a covered work surface that's holding my ready to be cut wood and has enough space to actually do the cutting. I'm protected from the elements, and up top I've got this huge flat expanse for assembling my vents. And none of this was planned. Hey, it goes to show, folks, just do as much planning as you can, as much planning as you can imagine, but also embrace the happenstance. Keep your eyes open for just those things that are gonna happen. Because they're good. Well, that was certainly a lot cleaner, safer, easier. Use the sling, John. So here's my list of tasks to do just to get my sills. You can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tasks, including building a jig, getting my planer checked, the vertical chainsaw attachment, the anti-bug, anti-rot spray, set up new sawhorses, and then finally measure and cut. Well, it's pretty amazing what changes in the weather a couple of days can bring. It was just 2 days ago that I was out here saying it was 35 degrees and 90% humidity and too dangerous to be outside. And now we've got a really strong wind blowing, essentially cleaning the air, I think. And we're at like 25 or 26 degrees and under 60% humidity. I was actually just having a nap in my hammock in my work area and I actually got chilled. I've got the scaffolding deck sorted. The upside here is now covered with Tyvek. The bottom side now is all secured. All of the call them rafters, I guess, are tied down securely, screwed into the plywood, fixed. So I've got my workshop essentially set up for the winter. So my goal is to get the sills cut and prepared to be installed. Maybe not installed, but prepared to be installed. And part of that is also getting my tools back in shape. I have not used my woodworking tools really in a couple of years now, and ever since I built the tiny house. So I've got to get my chain mortiser sharpened and oiled and running, my router up to snuff, my radial saw, new blade on it for cutting, making clean, sharp cuts. There's just so many little adjacencies to the actual work of cutting the sills that just have to be done. So I'm gonna spend some time on some of that stuff today. And also I have to make a couple of jigs, or at least one jig, for doing the half lap joint on the sills. So let's start doing that. This wasn't a required task for my sills, but I just got this new trolley, much better than the carrier that I have been using. Actually, I used this to build the tiny house, and it worked very well when I had a huge, expansive parking lot to work in at the time. I've got a very cramped set of quarters right now to work in, so I needed something smaller. And it seems to be a little bit more robust. The wheels are bigger, the welds are bigger, better. So anyway, this was just a fun little 5-minute task. Okay, getting the tiny house kind of cleaned up a little bit, not cleaned up, but organized a little bit is another task. It's not necessarily a prerequisite just for the sills, but I've decided I've got to have my computer with me with all the drawings and dimensions and everything. I've got to have that here at all times, just to make sure I'm doing everything, doing all the cuts properly. And so I need a place for a monitor, the computer, and a stool, and I don't have a stool yet. So anyway, this has been sorted now. I can bring up the monitor and I'll bring up the monitor and leave it here. I'll bring up the laptop every time I come. So I've never changed the blade on my 4-inch planer before. And here's the accessory blades. It seems like it's just a pressure fit. You know, you look at the blade itself, it seems like it's just a clamp pressure fit in there. Okay. That should release the plate now. Yes, there we are. There, come on. Don't go in there, don't fall in there. There we are. Okay, there's the super dull one, and there's the sharp one. All right, yeah, two-sided. So you may wonder why a planer is required as a prerequisite or an antecedent activity to the sills. Well, I've ordered all of my lumber, except the rafters, I've ordered all of my lumber unplaned. So they are 5 mil oversized. And I mean, my sawyer is millimeter specific. I get maybe as they should be, but this is the first and only sawyer I've ever used, you know, so I have no idea, no experience to compare it to. But I just imagine, you know, you see a lot of YouTubers out there with their sawmills, and they're just, yeah, we'll make it about 2 inches, right? My guy, he is just millimeter specific. So if I want, you know, I ordered, or I need 150 mil wide boards, he can make them 150, or he can make them 155 mil. You know, that's a difference of just 5 mil, and he does it. So so I have to plane all of my own boards, and yeah, I'm kind of second guessing whether I should have done that or not. But it's like $4 if he is going to plane something for me. It's like $4 per board, and excuse me. And for the rafters, you know, that's 75 boards times $4. And that's $300 of additional, you know, payout. So I decided for all of my posts and beams, I would do them myself, and that's why I have to get my planer up and running. Okay, that's 2 brand new blades. Well, that's really hard to tell. I mean, we can tell from the shavings that came off that it's doing some cutting, but you know, if I push down really hard on this side, yeah, I don't know, that's pretty hard to tell. Okay, there's one thing that I was constantly getting when I had the old blades in, and that was a ridge between first pass and second pass. I would always get a ridge. I think that was because the blades might have been misaligned or something like that. That's just 2 feet of planing, just a couple of passes, and look at how many shavings I've got from it. So yeah, it's gonna make a mess. I've got a bag for it. I don't know if the bag attaches in the right direction or orientation, but this is gonna work. Definitely it's gonna work. I love the fact that my planer works in the fresh, sharp blade, does a fine job. It creates a lot of shavings, which is great for our bio toilet, although we just got to refill a big jumbo garbage bag full from our Sawyer of sawdust. It smells, this hinoki. Oh, it just smells fantastic. Smells better than cedar. It's a good day. Okay, so we've got the planer is working. We tested the router, and even though I didn't have the right bit to do what I wanted to do, the router is working. A jig. I don't have a jig for the router yet. That's tomorrow. Hi everybody. Okay, I've got my computer screen set up. It'll stay up here for the life of the project now. And I've got my drawings open in SketchUp. So I've got my exact specifications for the sills, which I'm going to get to today. Actually, the first task for today is to build the jig to help me. I'm gonna try a couple of things, but I think the easiest solution for all these lap joints that I have to build is to router them out. And to router them to a very specific dimension, I want a jig. That's the problem. Okay, it's unplugged. It's not going to come on accidentally. But that is the problem. Now it's wound up so tight in there, I got to disassemble to get it out.
One eternity later.
I got all the plastic pulled out of it. Just if I put it back together properly, it should be working. Well, that didn't take too long, and as I said, the upside is now I know everything about my planer, whether I wanted to or not. I think I've got it all set, balanced. The platens are evenly aligned. The blades seem to be evenly aligned. I'll just give it a quick run through on this board and see what happens. Well, it's hard to tell on a edge like this. One of these blades is jutting out way too far and is taking chunks of wood out, and I can see very clearly it's not aligned, but I've reset it twice now, and each time after I reset it, tighten everything down and do another pass on the wood, it does the exact same thing. So I'm just not sure what to do. I may have to put a pause on the planing, which is a big crimp in the process. But I gotta figure, I gotta plane all these boards. They have to be planed. They're all oversized. So, gotta figure this out. Well, third time's a charm, and I don't mean that in a good way. It's just all bent out of shape now. This is, I think, now garbage. The blade actually fell out by itself right now, and I had just finished tightening it down, everything. But this guard now is completely bent out of shape. So I haven't talked much about design yet. I've been designing this house in SketchUp for 5 years almost, but a lot of it was in order to teach the architect about the timber frame style, and in that case I had to use a lot of generalities. Now I get to the point where I actually have to start building, and so I had to spend the last couple of weeks in SketchUp making all the cuts to each piece of wood. And you've heard me talk about timber frame. This whole build is a timber frame style, and that means we're using joinery instead of standard 2x4 nails and screws. The lap joint, which is what I'm using on all of the sills, is one of the most basic kinds of timber frame joints. And you can see here's my 2x6. I'm just going to rip a portion of each end of each plank down 25 mils, leaving 25 mils. This is assuming the boards are 50, but as you heard me say earlier, I think the boards are all unplaned, and so they're 55 mil thick right now. So anyway, I have to have a 25 mil lap, and then over top of it, we take the other 25 mil lap. We fit it like that. And that's the exercise for getting these sills out. I've done, as I said, a lot more design over the past couple of weeks. The goal, of course, is to make all of the timbers in the drawing exact, so that I can take the drawing to the site, or in this case have it on the computer at the site, and cut exactly where the drawing shows. And this will hopefully give me a better final fit when I go to assemble the posts and beams. So before we get to screwing in any of this packing and then putting on the sills, I have to make a decision about where to place the sill on this second floor level. We noticed after we poured everything and measured everything finally that this second level is 5 centimeters narrower, shorter than the top and the bottom. So there's 2.5 centimeters on each side that it is too short. So the two options, option one is to push the packing and the sill out slightly to overhang by 2.5 centimeters, thus making this wall completely on the same plane. So option two is pulling the top and the bottom in 2.5 centimeters and thus again matching up with the second floor one and making the entire wall on a single plane. The problem with option two is we have these anchor bolts here that, according to my architect, are critical for passing an inspection. These things are sunk into the slab, and they have to tie to the side of the post. The post is going to go right here. Okay. Now, if you can see that pulling the sill and then the post on top of it right up against the anchor bolt. This anchor bolt is slightly out of plumb, so it would have to be straightened. But it means that the anchor bolt is right against the side. Right? We can't notch out the sill because the anchor bolt has to be screwed directly into the post. And we've only been able to come in 1 centimeter. So we're still 1.5 centimeters out of plane. So I think my option is to overhang the central sill on both sides by 2.5 centimeters. Now that doesn't mean that the entire sill is going to be 2.5 centimeters overhanging, just this corner. And when it gets to that far end, it'll be flush with the wall. Okay, so when we get to the middle of this particular sill, 1.3 centimeters halfway through. So 2.5 overhang, 1.3 overhang, 0 overhang. I think this is the best compromise. You find out those things after you finish some of the work. And the last thing we want to do before we start screwing these packing down is run a line down the edge. And we can see right here, for instance, the packing bumps out. Okay, we're ready to start drilling and screwing. Okay, second floor, packing, all done, screwed in tight, square, in line, straight, ready for the sills. I said I wanted to try a few different things, and the first one was the router with a jig. I've seen many woodworkers do this type of thing using this type of jig. It allows you to isolate the cut area. You use the router for your depth, and you take away what you have to take away. But I'm not really good at jigs. They're not intuitive to me, and I've only made a handful in my life. And this is taking forever. I think I'm going to go back to my tried and true method with the radial saw and see if I can, whack this out in just a few minutes. Still a little bit proud on this side, but it lines up. Okay, and that, my friends, is the first sill. There's a lot going on here that I haven't really explained, and there's still so much to do. I've ordered a new planer, and you look at how rough this edge is. It's got to be planed. Also, the thickness is still 155, not 150. So I went ahead and I built the lap joint and sized it and drilled the holes for the anchor bolts, etc., all in advance, knowing that my planer would be arriving late. So I still have to do that. I have to plane this down. In the meantime, though, I'm going to get started on the rest of them. Also, I haven't sealed this with the anti-rot, anti-insect sealant, and that's coming up. I'll do that in the next video. Okay, as you can imagine, there's still a lot of work ahead of us. So next video is going to be, I hope, finishing all of the sills. There's a lot of work, a lot more work than I had imagined for just one person. It's taking time. The getting the packing on in and of itself took 4 hours for just this one bit. The drilling, I think it's overkill drilling into the concrete and using concrete screws to hold this in. If anybody has an opinion about how in Japan they hold this hard plastic packing down, the hole seems like it could just do with a simple nail, but I don't know of nails that drive into concrete and hold very well. Yeah, but anyway, it's a beautiful day today, but we've got rain ahead, 3 days of rain, starting tonight at about 7 p.m. It's hard to tell with such a beautiful day, beautiful sky. There's Typhoon 15, I think it is messing with our weather patterns. So I may not be up here for 3 days, or if it's light rain, I may get under that, weather protected scaffolding roof and do my half laps. Whatever happens, I'll see you soon. Thanks for hanging around.